Hello everyone, this is Brock Skaggs, and we're going to make a video today where we're basically going to document an exploded view that we already have in an assembly. And so what I've got is the assembly that we'll be working on. It's in the collapse state here, but as you can see on the left hand side I've got an exploded view, and I've already created the exploded view geometry, if you will. And that's in a different video where we actually create this exploded view. But now that we have the exploded view, we're saying, hey, I want to use this as a start point to create an exploded view in a 2D drawing, and I want a nice table down there that'll have the BOM so that it says things like, hey, when I've got these 4 different socket head cap screws, that they're all 4 the same, so that way I can go to a fasteners type store, Fastenal, for instance, and buy the screws I need. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to basically take this assembly view and put it inside of a drawing. And so with that being said, I'm going to just leave the assembly open, and I'm going to say, hey, let's make a drawing from the assembly. My right screen here, I have some templates. I'll just use this tutorial drawing template to get us started and hit OK. And so we're just dropping ourselves into this template here, and I'll just left click once. And so one thing I think that I'm going to need a little bit different template size, so I'm just going to go to the properties. Yeah, I get this one that's kind of more of a portrait than a landscape view. Alright, and so I'm not going to worry about filling out title blocks or anything like that. I just want to focus on how I would use that exploded view and put that on this drawing. And so what I do is come over here to the drawing tab, and then I go up to model view. It's already knows the assembly is open, so it's saying, hey, do you want to use the assembly that's already open? I do, so I'll click the little next button here. And right here's where we want to focus. Right now it's saying, hey, I've got the default configuration, which is the only configuration I have. Show an exploded or model break state, yes, and I've only got the one exploded view. The exploded view's name was exploded view 1, and so it's already set up, and so now I can come over here, just left click once, and notice that's pulling the exploded view state into my drawing. It's a little small. It's also got all the hidden lines. I don't really want to see the hidden lines. I don't want to see these origins either. So I'll start with the origins. I'll just come up here to the little icon for visibility states, and I'll just take off those origins. Also left click on the exploded view itself, and right here I can take it to where its hidden lines are removed. So it's starting to clean it up a little bit. Now it's kind of small. I'd rather increase it a little bit. And so if I click that view again, you can say it's using the sheet scale. I'll just go right click on the sheet and modify the sheet scale. 1:4, I guess that looks okay. Maybe a little small, but let's go 1:3. So just right clicking, go into the properties. There we go. I'll just stick it right here. Okay, so we're a third of the way there. We've been able to get the exploded view onto our drawing. That's great. Now it'd be nice to be able to label some of these things. And so one way you can do that is by creating a bill of material table and then use balloons on the exploded view in order to identify the different components and relate those back to the table. So if we look up here at our tabs, the view layout, that's for creating other views, which we don't need, but on the annotation tab, we've got balloons here, and we also have tables. And so we'll start with a table, and you can see there's lots of different tables, but one of them is the bill of material or BOM table. So I'll go ahead and click the BOM table. So I'll just prompt us to say, hey, select a drawing view to specify the model for creating a BOM or a bill of material. I've only got one drawing view, so it's fairly easy. So I'll just click it. Alright, so the bill of material is fairly customizable. That's what you can see all the options here for. For instance, if you want top level, or if you had sub-assemblies and you wanted to kind of drill down into there with the indented or the parts only. In this case, we'll just accept all the defaults here and hit the green check mark to say OK. And you can see I've got a table now attached. I'll kind of put it in the bottom left-hand corner here. And just left click once to locate it. We're not really using the description column, so I can just click in the header of that column, right click, and I'll delete not the table, but the column. I can kind of pull this out a little bit just so it's all one line. There you go. And so you can do some basic formatting here that's fairly straightforward. All right, so what do we have in this table? We've got item numbers, which is kind of a reference ID for each of the components, and then we've got a listing of the distinct components inside of this assembly. And their quantities too, like there's a socket head cap screw, that's SHCS, and there's 3 of this variety, and there is 4 of this variety. That 25 and that 35 is probably like the length of those screws in millimeters. And then I've got a battery holder, I've got this Arduino Uno and GPS, that's all being considered one subassembly. And then the enclosures, the top and the base of it. Alright, so that's all good, but if you had a really strange component or something you designed yourself and they were kind of very custom components, you may not be able to just look at something and have the reader know exactly which one you're talking about there. And so that's where balloons come into play. And so the balloons will have reference IDs that tie to this table and identify what are these individual components. And so what I usually do is go up here to the auto balloon. And so with auto balloon, again, I can just select a view and notice it's automatically identifying all the different components. So I'll just hit the green check mark and accept them right now. And you say, hey, that's nice, but man, these balloons are kind of all over the place, right? Some of them aren't even in the drawing space itself there. And so this is the point where you can kind of start fine-tuning what this looks like. So for instance, I'll start with this number 5. Notice it's on this one, but maybe I don't like the fact that it drags over this enclosure top. So right there, you can see the little node icon. I can actually grab that and pull it. Now wait till it hits one of those edges, and now notice it stays 5, and it just readjusted at that point. And so this is where you go through and start cleaning up your drawing a little bit. Maybe it'd be clearer if I was pointing to that edge instead of the other. And so there's that. Here's another screw, so I'll come back here. Maybe I don't want to point to the head. I want to point to the body, but watch this. Okay, if I accidentally unclick it, notice it turns to kind of a greenish color, and there's a question mark there because it's not really referencing any bodies. So if you see that, you can just left click on it, get a hold of that node again, reattach it to that edge, and now it comes back into that 4, which is the socket head cap screw. And so typically you just go through and start cleaning the drawing up, kind of making everything look nice, somewhat organized, if you will, just like we're doing here. And we're almost done. Let's put 3 out here. There we go. And 6, maybe we don't want to reference that one, just kind of in the middle there. Let's reference one of these ones on the outer edge. There we go. All right, so there we have it. Very quickly, we've been able to take that exploded view that was inside the assembly. We created a 2D drawing that referenced that assembly. Then we said, okay, I want to look at that exploded view, which got us all the geometry. Then remember, we went to the annotation tab, went to tables, and created the bill of material table here. Did a little bit of customization there, right? We deleted a column out. We made this column a little wider. You could also insert custom columns there as well and have that really driven by like custom properties of the parts if you wanted to get a little more sophisticated there. And then finally, we used these balloons in order to identify the parts in our exploded view. And then, of course, you could always save this out, maybe save it as a PDF, or actually print that for the actual communication to people maybe on the shop floor. Maybe they don't have a terminal on the shop floor, but you just need to show them a printed drawing to help them do the assembly process. All right, so I think we've made it to the end of this video. Thanks for sticking around and watching it with me, and hopefully this helps you creating your own drawings of exploded views.